Hello and welcome to this Java tutorial. Today we'll be learning about the basics of Java and how to install it on your machine. So let us go to tutorial mode, click on basics. Okay, fix that. And you're going to click here, Java. Okay, now we're going to be going through the introduction and variables today. So here you can see the history of Java, how it was made, how Sun Microsystems worked on it, how it got its name, how Oracle took it over, etc. Actually, here's something interesting. Do you know how Java got its name? It's actually the name of the coffee the developers were drinking when they were making the program, or the actual platform. That's pretty cool. Anyway, so depending on what operating system you're using, you'll have to install Java on your machine. If you're running on a Mac, it should already be installed. If you're running a Linux, you can simply click here, and this will take you straight to the place where you have to install it. If you're running Windows, here's the place where you go to install it. Now there's guides on these websites, which I've linked to here, which you can see if you go to this website. There's the URL. Yeah, so you'll just follow the guide and you'll be able to install it yourself. It's pretty straightforward. You'll get the compiler as well. The compiler, if nobody knows what that is used to put the code together and let the code run. So let's say we're creating Hello World. What you do is you make the code, whatever, then you put it through the compiler puts the code together, and then through this here, this is a terminal, this is for the Mac, and this is MS-DOS, or sorry, this is command prompt for Windows. It will print a Hello World right there after you compile the code. So this is pretty straightforward. That's how you install it. Okay, next, anyway, this here is the basic structure of a HTML, or sorry, of a Java file. So as you can see here, public class hello. Now hello is the name of the file. The file is called hello.java. So you must always have public class before the name of the file, and no extension, just hello itself. Open it up with brackets. You must ensure you close every bracket and make sure it is right next to each other. For example, this bracket closes right there, etc. and stuff like that. Next, you're going to add public static void main. This here is where all the main code will happen. So it's just as important as this here. Okay, now I've added 2 lines here. String my word equals hello sir, good day. Basically what that's going to do is it's going to save hello world or hello sir, good day to the string my world. A string is a variable which is used to store words, or just words. There's different variables which we'll be covering later. It's actually in the next page here, which we'll be going over in a few minutes. Then what happens is, and back to the code, what happens next is systemout.println my word. What happens then is it's going to print out hello sir, good day. And notice the ln part. If ln's not there, it's not going to print out in the same line, or it's not going to print out it on the line and bring the rest of the text to the next line. Primarily it's used to make the output look a little bit more, well, a little bit easier to use. Okay, so next, so we've already covered that. That's there if you want to go through a little bit more detail. That's me there explaining how this works. Okay, so what is the difference between Java and C++ and other languages? Well, Java runs in an environment. C++ doesn't. C++, Windows, Mac, or Linux are made using, or have been designed using C++. Java is primarily the language which kind of runs on top of it, but you must install Java on your machine to be able to run Java programs. The advantage to that is Java runs on pretty much any operating system as long as the Java environment is installed. And thanks to the company who run Java, they have allowed the Java environment to run on pretty much any operating system, such as Mac, Linux, or Windows. The Android SDK runs on Java. So if you want to build an Android application, you want to learn Java and you have to do it through that way. We'll be covering Android tutorials later in the future. Just right now, it's better if you learn the basics of the Java. It's pretty straightforward. It's very, very similar to C++. There's a lot more classes and functions in it, but we'll be covering that later. Okay, so let's go into the next page. So variables. I can click here, next tutorial. So anyway, comments. Every programming language or markup language has comments. Comments are primarily used if there's multiple developers looking at your code, or you do something which is pretty confusing. It allows you to just add a little text, so you can come back to later for reference. For example, let's say I add hello world. I might add a comment above saying, this line of code here will print hello world whenever you do this or this or this. It's pretty straightforward. It's like a message to yourself. But anyway, so there are 5 variables we'll be covering here: integers, strings, characters, booleans, and arrays. An integer is basically a variable which stores numbers. A string is a variable which stores words. Characters is a string which stores characters, obviously. Booleans is a variable which only has 2 values, true or false. So that'd be useful if you're going through a loop and you want the loop to continue until such an event says true. For example, a switch or something like that. Arrays store multiple integers, strings, or characters, but you must ensure that arrays can only store integers, or they can only store strings, or they can only store characters. We'll be covering objects in the future, which are a little bit more advanced and not as recommended, but they do a lot more. Well, don't worry about that, we'll be covering that in the future. So anyway, here you can see an example of integers. So the usual code, static void main, so integer number 1 equals 10. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a new Java file. So new file. Okay, so I'm just going to save it first so the program can realize what file I'm using. So I'm going to call this project. You must have the extension Java at the end. So we'll save that to the desktop. Open up terminal. I'm just going to go to the desktop now in terminal. So cd desktop / okay, and there it is. So now what I'm going to do is going to go public class project. Now it's important that you learn this off by heart. You will know this over time off by heart because it's pretty much used in every single Java program. Public static void main public oops GS close. Okay, so here is a variable which is going to be an integer. So int, let's say number 1. I'll copy the example here actually. I'll write it out. Number 1 equals 10. Integer number 2 equals 25. Now it's always going to print out. 35 when I'm finished here. So number 1 equals number 1 plus number 2. So you can see here that number 1 is going to be replaced with the addition of these 2, thanks to this operator here. So system out.println. I don't think I did that right. It doesn't matter. Number 1. I'll give out of. I think I did that right. Yeah, I did. Okay. Sorry, I'm used to programming in C++. Just haven't done this in quite some time. Okay, when you're compiling, you must ensure that you have project.java at the end. The Java is very important. It's saying to the compiler that this is a Java file. So let's see if there's any errors. Okay, come on. Loading. Okay, so it's not. What you do now to run the program is just simply type in Java project. What's going to happen now is going to print out the title, or it's going to print out the number. So as you can see, it's 35. Now, what I was talking about earlier was if you get rid of the ln, it prints on the same line. So let's see what it's like without the ln. Okay, so first if you compile, then we have to run the program. So as you can see here, hasn't moved this main line here to the next row. Okay, so anyway, next is a string. So we've covered this earlier. So actually, leave that there. Just go string hello equals test. It's important you have the double quotes here, because if you single quotes, it's going to be an error. Single quotes are mainly used for characters. I'll show you an example in a second of what happens if you don't use double quotes. So compile, no error, good, run it. Test, as you can see. Now if I went single quotes, as you can see here, there's an error. So unclosed character literal. So if it was char, which stands for character, C-H-A-R, get rid of that, just make it a T. and then go this, no error, and then go Java. And there it is, T. So pretty straightforward. Okay. Oh, we're doing this bit. Oh yeah. So yeah. So I'll show you a quick Boolean. They're pretty straightforward. There's no real point. Okay, I'll just show you anyway. Boolean switch equals false. Close. Put the switch in. Actually, no, we can't call it switch because that's. What's important is, see the way that went blue there a second ago? That's a built-in function. So if I were to use that, I get an error automatically because it's the equivalent to using, like, you can't declare a string called Boolean because it will think that you're actually, it'll get really, really confused. It's like you're saying this Boolean is the string. It doesn't make any sense. So anyway, let's see what happens here. Okay, I've got an error. Why did I get that? Oh yeah, they're not declared. Okay. Java. As you can see, false. Okay, next we'll be covering arrays. These are incredibly handy. More than likely be using these the most. So this will be an integer array. So numbers. Okay. So what you must do now is you must declare whereabouts in the array you want to place your object. So I'm going to say I want to place it in the first position. Now it starts with 0. Unlike other things, everything starts with 0 in Java. Number 1 is the second item. Number 1 is the second item. Number 2 is the third item. And number 4 is the fourth item. It goes on like that. Okay, etc. So number 0 equal, let's say 1. Close that. So numbers 0. Okay, let's print that. And 1. So you got 1. Okay. Yeah. I'll show you something quick actually. If you want to get the length of a string, so I'm going to say string hello equals test. Test. Let's use this hello dot length. That's it. Good. So it goes int I equals. See, that prints 4, yeah. So what I've done there is I've just counted how many characters are inside that string. So it's handy if you want to do a loop or if you want to get each character. We'll be covering more of that later, but it's pretty straightforward. That's all I'm going to be covering today. Tomorrow I might cover loops, functions, and if statements. I'll keep adding tutorials. You can find them here simply at tutorialmode.com/basics. If you want to learn a little bit more about other topics, there's loads and loads of these sort of tutorials. There's pages and pages of them. But basics are really handy if you just want to learn the core or learn how to start with these sort of languages. Tutorials is more for the advanced user who actually has experience. And if you have a question, just simply drop a question into questions here. And forums, kind of the same thing. That's it. And thank you for watching.